Welcome to Joe Brooks at the Helm, the podcast where we dive into the vibrant world of art, one artist at a time. I'm your host, Joe Brooks. I'll be talking with talented artists from all corners of the industry. We'll explore their unique journeys, uncover the stories behind their creativity, and learn about the experiences that have shaped their artistic paths. Whether you're an art enthusiast, an inspiring creative, or simply curious about the lives behind the masterpieces, you're in the right place. Join me as we navigate through the world of art, guided by the voices of those who live and breathe it. Hello.
Hi.
We are delighted today to have Lee Baker and Catherine Borowski. Very complicated name, Catherine.
I know.
Where's that from, that name?
My granddad was Polish, so he came over during the war, and I've just been researching his history because my dad left home when he was about 16 and just was estranged from his family, and so I don't know anything. But then finally my dad sent me his old dog tag from when my grandfather was in the army, so I've been researching his background. It's kind of crazy.
We're over in Krakow. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Tracking down the old family. Bonkers.
So talking of lots of different identities, you guys have had, well, you've got a few iterations, haven't you? But today we're talking about you as Graphic Rewilding, and we're here in their incredible show, which is called Iris Upon Iris Upon Iris. What is the obsession with irises?
I think because I was doing lots of kind of amalgamations of flowers, loads of compositions of flowers, and really busy stuff. And coming back to what we were chatting about earlier about having ADHD, I realised that I'm just this crazy eclectic person, and just focusing on flowers was hard enough. And I thought, why not take it several stages further? Just focus on one flower. There's something amazing about irises where they constantly change. There's always something in their composition that's always shifting. And then we had this bonkers idea of actually only doing the whole show in one colour.
I mean, it's absolutely stunning, and
Thank you.
anyone that hasn't been here, they need to come, because I was saying to the guys at Helm the other day that if you kind of close your eyes and open it, you could be anywhere in the world. You could be in Marrakesh with your colours, or you could be in the Tate in one of the sub-rooms.
Yeah.
Or it really takes you somewhere, doesn't it?
I think there was, what we wanted to generate for ourselves and for the audience was a feeling. And like trying to capture something in that. And we've constantly been trying to do that with the flowers, but we thought, why don't we just try sitting in this colour for as long as we possibly can? I can't tell you how positive and inducing it's been. It's amazing.
Oh, it's so sunny. It's like walking into a kind of room of being bathed in sunlight.
But you immediately feel warm.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
It's odd, isn't it? It's an odd sensation.
But it took ages to mix the colour, because you try sitting in if you because it's quite what's the word? It's quite acerbic. It's quite astringent.
Yes. Lemon.
That lemony thing. But if you try and sit in that's it's quite intense. So we had to kind of mix it in a way. This colour, when you actually look at it on the page, it's actually very milky. But when because we were worried that you fill a whole room with it, it starts having a feedback loop on itself.
And bouncing off other objects.
Yeah.
But obviously it's bouncing off each other, so it becomes more intense. It's more intense.
I was thinking it's like walking in, when you were little and you shone a buttercup under your chin to work out if you liked butter or not. Yeah. And the first time came in, boys, tick and big tick. And when I walked in, the first thing I thought was, oh my God, it's like walking into a giant buttercup where we've all been, we've all got this golden glow about us. It's really,
very good for ladies of a certain age.
Yeah.
I'm delighted. So let's take it back a stage. You two obviously worked together for 9 years, is that right? How long have you worked together as you are a couple? I think it's out there that you're a couple in real life, but also you're an artistic duo. So how did that come about? How did you first meet?
I muscled in.
Did you?
I muscled in.
Yeah, he did. So I had a production company, a production and placemaking agency based in London, doing loads of projects, curating loads of stuff for people like Argent, who did the King's Cross development, and
that Cold Drops Yard.
Cold Drops Yard, all around there. So I worked with them for about 5 years, and I was working with some other designers, And when I met Lee, you know, Mr. I can do anything, put himself forward as creative director. And before you knew it, he was designing everything.
I mean, I let you work with other people for a while.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And then just started gradually, like, I killed them off. And, you know.
One by one.
Yeah,
one
exactly.
by one. They were all my lovely friends.
All gone.
Now gone.
Now gone.
Oh, and then obviously you obviously brought together, was that your first project, the Skip Gallery? I don't know if anyone's familiar with the Skip Gallery.
We did actually, like a year before Skip Gallery, we did an exhibition together. So, which was Lee's paintings, his flower paintings, and my work as well, which kind of traditionally is kind of quite conceptual, quite minimal. And for this piece, I think I had 580 spindles, banister spindles, installed in a gallery. And that was called Design Process in the Working Class. And it was all about growing up in a council flat and you get what you're given. So there is no design process. Generally, you get a box that's painted white or magnolia. And that has had a massive effect on me. Plus, with my mum as well, being a very kind of devout Muslim, she had a very kind of minimalistic tastes. So that informed a lot of my own.
I think that's quite
practice.
ironic you saying that, because my mum's a devout Muslim and she has not got minimalistic tastes. It's like couldn't be.
Yeah, I know. I think my mum,
but very different.
But no, what happened is, though, I think the way it kind of reflected both of us. We have such different sensibilities when it comes to art and our approach to things that. When we first started, there was a lot of arguments, actually. There was a lot of, but once we found a way of working together, I think it's created a really interesting balance.
Oh yeah, also just to step back about my mum and minimalism, it's not kind of, that's what Muslims are like. My mum was a convert and they can be kind of a bit more, I don't know, hardcore is the wrong word. Devout, yeah. And my mum really tried to live as kind of minimal life as possible.
So she basically followed it to the rules.
Yeah, as close to kind of like Muhammad would do. Peace be upon him. So she slept on the floor. She didn't have any paintings. She prayed 5 times a day. She, so she really.
And were you living with your mum?
Yeah, I grew up with my mum. Yeah.
And how was that?
Very, 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 very strange. Very unusual because I was.
So how old were you roughly at that point?
My mum, I was about 9 when my mum converted.
Right.
So it was really strange because before that she'd been a kind of normal North London kind of left-wing feminist mum. She was still left-wing and feminist, but when she found her faith, my mum was kind of all in from kind of day one. But it was really different, really kind of quite difficult.
I think I was really shocked, actually, when I visited, because I'm really good friends with Catherine's mum before she died, and I remember visiting your old flat, and from my upbringing, which was so floral,
glamorous.
It really was. Yeah, I mean, the room I grew up in, or at least that they let me have, because we'd done up this room. My uncle and his wife were escaping from Iran during the revolution, and my dad did up the garage as a room for her to come to and stay in, whilst my uncle was trying to escape on his UN passport. It's a whole thing. Anyway, she stayed with us for 3 months. My dad had done up this garage. They'd done up the whole thing in Laura Ashley.
I was going to say, was it like Laura Ashley's handbag?
It was literally Laura Ashley, head to toe.
I'm obsessed with Laura Ashley. Literally obsessed.
Oh, I am too.
Absolutely
especially after I lived in it for 4 years. But basically, I needed a bedroom, so I was sharing with my brother. And my mum was like, "Well, you can have the room downstairs, but you can't touch a thing."
See, this is all really connected,
it
isn't
really
it?
is.
It's kind of you just do one little step and you're like, well,
oh, there it is. Yeah,
there it is.
So there was a kid massively into heavy metal. Basically putting Motorhead posters, with blue tack on top of Laura Ashley. It was a bizarre.
I mean, it's just brilliant.
Whereas I was with a mum, devout Muslim, and I shared a bedroom with her, but she let me put up a full life-size poster of Boy George. So we'd wake up every morning to a life-size poster of Boy George.
Lucky.
So
I was
lucky.
But very clean white walls, just Boy George.
Just Boy George. Just Boy George.
Just Boy George.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Culture club.
Yeah.
Who knew? Okay, so you two met and you started working together. You cleared out all of your
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that vicious. It wasn't. It just started making a bit more sense as well, because quite often as well it would be, also what the practice turned into was a curatorial practice. So we started finding artists to work on various projects, and so that's how we developed that side of things. And about 7 years ago, we were away somewhere, and Catherine's mum had died, and we were trying to think. Catherine didn't want to do a funeral as such. There was a kind of wake and stuff, but she felt very edgy about going to this wake and all this kind of thing. She wanted to do her own thing. And we were bonkers, man. We were in Thailand, and do you remember they had like a New Year's celebration, and they lit up, the word New Year in all the fireworks and stuff like that. Catherine was like, "Oh my God, I want to do something like that." But I don't know how you arrived at I want to do it on top of a skip.
Yeah, how did that arrive?
That was the original plan, was to do it on a skip.
Was there any connection?
Well, it was kind of like skips. We spent as kids, we were always in skips getting stuff out. And my mum going crazy because we'd drag all this crap home, and she'd be like, "Get it out." And we were developing the idea for Skip Gallery at the time. So we were working out what the first skip would be.
Because it is a genius idea, isn't it?
Oh, thank you.
Gallery in a skip. I mean,
Thank you.
It's kind of absolutely so good.
Thank
Carry
you.
on, sorry.
So we were going to do the first one. I wanted, Mum had died, and I wanted really just a skip, a closed skip that people could go into and just be in a skip and feel what it's like to be in a dark skip. What does it smell like? And I think
Slightly
slightly damp. I thought it was
death.
kind of death-like. And that was, I was in a period of grief, and that felt really right to me. Lee was like, "You can't get people to go into a skip. That is a terrible idea." Anyway, so we had a big falling out in Barking Station on the way to go and visit the skip.
Big bus stop.
Right.
Where was the skip?
Barking, yeah. So we trekked over there.
Oh yeah, but the skip. Eventually the skip that we did was in Hoxton. That's where
in
Hoxton
East
Square.
London.
So we basically, as I said, Catherine, her idea of a skip gallery was just a skip, and people would either know that it's art or not. And I was like, you can't do that. You have to give some level, raise it up on a plinth. We used to have arguments about plinths all the time.
Some tiny level of explanation.
Something. Yeah. What we arrived at was the most maximalist, bonkers affair, I think, known to man. We had a white. We painted a skip white. We had lettering "mum" in flowers over the
like you would in a funeral.
Yeah.
We had a staircase built so that people could climb inside the skip, where I had, because inside was kind of my domain, outside was Catherine's domain.
Okay.
She had a horse and carriage riding around Hoxton Square for 3 hours.
Like a Victorian hearse.
This is quite elaborate.
Because my mum was kind of, she was a bit gangster.
Yeah.
Full truth be known.
Yeah.
And
no one would mess with my mum, so we had that kind of.
She get out of my pub.
Yeah, she was definitely a bit get out of my pub. Yeah.
Okay.
And she also had lots of different names. So in the back of the hearse, it didn't have a coffin because her body was in Mecca.
Which we will touch on in a minute.
But what it had was, it spelt in floral and funeral flowers, her various names.
Okay, how many names did she have?
She had 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah, spy. She was a spy.
She wasn't a spy.
Spy mum.
Spy mum.
Can we talk about, are you happy to talk about what happened to your mum? Okay.
Yeah. So every year my mum would go to Saudi. She really loved it
For
there.
the Hajj?
For Hajj. So she did the Hajj once, and then she would go every year it's a kind of minor pilgrimage called Umrah. And so I think she'd been going for about 15 years.
Did she go on her own?
She travelled on her own.
Okay.
With, she booked it through a Hajj specialist in
you can't just turn up.
You can't just turn up, So they knew my mum, and they knew me because I'd go with her, and kind of as time went on, I used to pay for her to go as well, as a gift. And
happy Hajj.
Yeah, thank you.
So she would say hedge.
Oh, hedge.
I'm going to hedge.
I'm going to hedge.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And so she was there. She was texting me saying, "Have you booked my cab back from Heathrow? How's Loris,
son,
who's my
yeah.
son, How's the reluctant TV star, Lee. So she'd list everyone. She used to call my brother the Gypsy Rover. So there was this was...
She liked names for lots of different people by the sounds of it.
She did. And so we were in Marbella at the time on a bit of a secret jolly, and I kept getting phone calls that I kind of bounced because I just didn't want to talk to anyone because we were away for a weekend. Yeah. And I knew my mum was okay because we'd been messaging. And then finally, as we were checking out, I picked up the phone and it was the travel agent saying, "I'm so sorry to have to tell you, but your mum's died." And
so she died in Mecca?
She died in Mecca, yeah,
Okay.
after she'd performed Umrah, and I hope she had a belly full of kebab and chips. But she passed away. Yeah.
And how do you deal with that, Catherine?
I don't know.
Just on a practical level.
Well, on a practical level, I got an email from the consulate over there saying, "Do you give permission for a local burial? Because if you're Muslim,
obviously you're Muslim,
yeah, you should be buried within 24 hours." And that was my mum did pray to die in Mecca.
Okay.
But we thought it might be in 20 years' time.
Yeah, not. Yeah.
So I gave that permission, and then even kind of I had to bless Lee's dad. He drove me to Heathrow. I had to meet her suitcase and her handbag, which
oh my goodness,
I couldn't. Like even now thinking about it, I just It was profound. It was crazy, and I also didn't believe. I thought I was in a dream. Yeah, I thought it was all a kind of a weird story, and she would arrive, and she didn't.
Yeah, I mean, there is a reason why we go through a process of a funeral, etc.
Yeah,
because it's our way of sort of Western closure. But I guess for you, you never really had that, did you?
I never had that, and then even the death certificate came in Arabic, so I had to get that a kind of Arabic Chamber of Commerce to translate it for me. I have the coordinates handwritten on where her grave is, but I can't go because I'm not Muslim.
Never visited.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
but so her friends did organise a prayer for her, but I think I was in so much shock that I got as far as the tube station in Turnpike Lane, and I had to turn back. I'd had armfuls of chocolates and flowers. I couldn't.
Too much.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for sharing that, because I know that's very personal to you. But obviously then you wanted to mark that by doing the skip. Lee did the outside, you did the inside. And how many people came to that?
We had hundreds. We had hundreds of people.
And it was a public thing.
It was a public thing.
Right.
And of course we had no idea how it would be received. But it was in March. It was an evening. It got dark very early, and it was actually felt pretty profound, didn't it?
I bet.
Yeah, there was kind of not a dry eye in the house.
We did a soundtrack inside, which was one of her favourite songs was Amy Winehouse, Valerie.
Oh yeah.
And I took the very last note of that and stretched it out over 5 minutes with other various things dotted in between. And
Mark Ronson would be proud.
He would be very proud.
Yeah.
And we had like steps on the inside where people could sit, and underneath a gold cloth inside with some little spotlights, we had a dancer under there who was barely moving, literally imperceptibly moving. So this thing was writhing around on the floor with this soundscape with silent disco headphones kind of thing. So we'd gone from like basically an empty skip idea.
It sounds
to
incredible.
we managed to fit in a lot.
Horses with nail varnish on.
Yeah, so after that, I think we just were like, actually, we're onto something here. This is really good, and since then, we've done.
Our second skip was Shrigley.
David Shrigley. Yeah. No, I remember that with the neon. Was it with the neon?
No,
it was
neon thing was different. It was bronze letters
that's right.
on the bottom. But with David, I mean, we were like, okay, we want to start Skip Gallery. We didn't know any artists apart from like designers who we worked with and various things.
Yeah.
No one. And we were busy trying to rack our brains. And I met David in a cafe via a friend very briefly. He told me where David lived. I put a letter in David's door just saying, listen, we've got a gallery in a skip. Will you show your work?
And of course he said yes.
And he just said, yeah. Because why wouldn't you? And he did a drawing. We've still got the sketch, basically, of what it would be. And it would just be like, it would just be the words, look at this at the bottom of the skip. But he'd drawn this little man weeing. A little arc of wee, I don't think that was supposed to be part
No,
of it.
no.
But I still got that drawing. And so that was the second one. And then we, you know what? Instagram was amazing. We just started DMing artists that we liked. So Richard Woods.
Yeah.
DM'd Richard Woods. We'd gone to Folkestone, seen his floating house. I don't know if you saw it. It was like a cartoon floating house in the docks, and went, we want to put that in a skip.
Yeah.
So I DM'd him, and he'd had the same idea as us. So he was like, why don't I do this? We went to his studio, boom, did it. But we were using all our own money, so we weren't waiting for applications and all that bullshit.
Yeah, which helps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
And also it just gives you ultimate freedom.
And instant gratification.
And instant gratification.
Yeah.
Loads of fun. We didn't have to kind of jump through. We didn't have to do loads of ROI or workshops or evaluation.
Yeah.
So it just becomes. And the idea was that it's anywhere that you can stick a skip, you can open a gallery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We did have to deal with councils, though. I mean, we had, when Richard Woods put that house in the skip, we had the council on the blower to Catherine basically going, I think we've got a problem. Someone's dumped like a giant house, doll's house in your skip. You're going to have to remove it. It's like, no, it's art. It's art.
That's part of the story, though, isn't it? When the local council get involved, you're onto a winner, is what I say.
Yeah.
And then I guess I met you when you did Skip Gallery, when Harrison Marshall lived in a skip, which was a social experiment, which was actually over a year ago now.
Yeah.
That's when I first met you properly.
Yeah.
And that was an incredible project.
Oh, that was amazing. So we'd always had an idea of creating a kind of a dwelling or a house in a skip. But then we thought, well, we don't need to live in a skip. Who the hell is going to live in a skip?
Yeah.
No, I think the original idea was like an Airbnb type of thing.
That's right.
Where it was that kind of thing, like before we'd met Harrison.
And it was a comment on the housing crisis and how expensive it is to rent in London and how you can't live and work, etc., etc. And I feel like it did tick all those boxes.
Oh, yeah,
I think so.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It's certainly, Harrison, brave guy, man. I mean, he literally
I was terrified for him.
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
I was really worried.
I know.
But he pulled it off, didn't he? And he made friends with all the local neighbours. And
oh, yeah, I mean, as a kind
apart
of...
from the weird guy that said, you can have a bath in my house.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I was like, say no to that, Harrison.
Yeah. Get the bread and coffee, say no to the
hole
bath.
drilled in the wall.
Oh, yeah.
I never heard about that.
Yeah.
Funny.
He was like, that guy over there's offered me his bath. I'm like, absolutely say no.
Yeah, that's a no.
Poor Harrison.
Yeah.
And then post sort of, should we talk a little bit about you individually? Should we switch to you, Lee, about your early career? Because I believe you have quite an extensive knowledge of music. Is that right? He's going to hate me for this.
No, do you know what?
I feel like you've written a theme tune. Is that right?
Wrote the theme tune. I my entire life I've done music and art.
Okay.
They've always run parallel to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first left university, I was doing lots of art shows and various things, but I had to earn a living. So I started doing loads of muraling and around London. But those were the days when, it was like changing rooms was like, it's like I used a lot of scumble glaze back
Carol
then.
Smiley was very...
Exactly.
Carol.
But,
bless her.
So I muraled a lot of Garfunkel's restaurants back in the 80s,
and I'm sure we've had a pie in all of them.
Yeah, exactly. And then got a job at the National Theatre through a friend, prop making, scenic painting, all that. Got to the end of that kind of 10-year period and I was like, I just want to do music, to be honest. I've been in bands and I'm like, that's where my heart lies. And I just set about being in bands and trying to do that. I signed to Chrysalis with my band. The band split up and then I was like, actually, maybe I can make this work. Because I was the one writing all the stuff and recording.
Was everyone else slowing you down, Lee?
Yeah.
Get out of it. Out. Well, they got dropped. I got lumbered with the bill. I got lumbered with all the bill.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, how am I going to make this work? And I've been learning to record and I'm really enjoying that side of things. So I started recording bands and then landed, I mean, I don't know how, but like landed an advert quite quickly was a German Coca-Cola advert out of the blue, you know.
Yeah, but the royalty check must have been good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad, but
That's
by the
good.
time,
Yeah.
I mean, that was a bonkers story. That's a whole bonkers story. I had to actually split the royalties with Pete Townsend because my song was so similar to the Who that, and they're really litigious. I had to. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Ended up writing music for television, getting involved with Endemol and some friends who worked in television, and literally jumped forward 20 years, and I had a career writing music for movie trailers and you know, short films and TV shows, and then
what kind of things would we know on telly of yours, Lee? What's got your fingerprints all over it?
I ended up writing music later on in my career. I ended up writing a lot of music for all of Jamie Oliver's cookery shows.
Okay.
A lot of those. I wrote the music for for some reason, I ended up working for ITV for years, doing all their revamps. So Location got revamped. They gave me a call, you know, This Morning got revamped. They gave me a call, you know, all these deeply uncool things. And then...
No, but they're kind of in the ether of our, you know, life, aren't they?
Yeah,
those kind of theme
very
tunes.
much so. Very much
everyone
so.
loves a theme tune, don't they? They just do.
Yeah,
They
totally.
do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was making records with lots of people as well. So
Because your very good friend is Tim Booth from James.
yes, so I met him via Chrysalis.
Yeah.
We met up, got on very well together, and we just started writing music together. He liked me because I hated James's music.
Always
He
good.
liked that. He liked the fact that I wasn't fawning over them, and we ended up making a couple of albums, going on tour loads. I was the kind of musical director for his band, so I would do all of that stuff, and you know, it was great, and you know, it was very lucrative, which meant that I was able to, and I always said to my mum, like when I was very young, I'm going to make my money with music, and then I'm going to use it and make art. And that is exactly what I've done, really. And so,
Not many people could say that, are they? Really?
no. It's quite a ridiculous thing to say you're going to do. You know, most people are like, well, I'm going to get a job, and you know.
A little birdie told me, Tim Booth, that you're a massive feature in his new novel. You are one of the characters, and you are yourself. He's written you in,
mate.
So,
I don't know. He's been writing that book for 10 years. It's like you know, I think the word stalker.
I'm like, Tim, back away now.
Mate.
Yeah, fair enough.
And but no, he's put me in the book as a character and by name.
Yeah, I know.
As well.
Yeah.
Which is like,
What is your real Lee?
Lee is a character called Lee in the
He's a
book.
main
Who
character.
has I think Skip Gallery features in the book.
You're joking.
No.
This is good. This is life imitating
is
art,
good.
imitating
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Man,
This is what
one
we
big
want.
feedback
That is what
loop.
we want.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is back to your point that music has funded your art.
Yeah.
And
very
now
much so.
someone's writing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been brilliant. But then I think there came a point where I think when graphic rewilding started rising up and
What was the moment that came to pass?
well,
because obviously the Skip Gallery has been incredibly popular over the last 5 or 6 years.
it has, but but you know, that was one of the worst business decisions we've ever made, in that, like, this kind of soft power that's given us has been amazing.
Yeah.
From a financial perspective, it's
And
been
a profile. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
all of that,
Definitely.
brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've loved doing it. It's been absolutely a pleasure, and it's felt genuine, very
Oh,
authentic
we've worked
from
with
us.
some amazing artists.
yeah.
We've created some really
We've done skips
Incredible.
in New York, we've done them in Milan, Rotterdam, you know, with great artists in unusual places. So from that perspective, it's been brilliant. I think
But a financial disaster.
financial
Oh,
disaster,
yeah.
yeah.
Very much
we
so.
could have bought a nice flat with the money we spent on that. But you know, but meanwhile, with all the music and all the stuff, I've been painting flowers. And the flowers is an odd one, I suppose, because it's come from an absolute passion and love of Japanese culture.
Okay.
I've loved Japanese culture forever, since I was a kid, and in various guises. But then about, like, I think was it 2002, there was went to Takashi Murakami exhibition. He really bridged that gap for me between traditional Japanese art or manga and the traditional. And, you know, I think for a lot of people anyway, and I got really, that was at the Serpentine, and went to a lecture by him and loved that. And I just got really sucked into that whole world because also I was massively into pop art. I used to customize cars. That's how I got into art, really. I had VW Beetles. I would spray them, airbrush them, and then show them at car shows. So I was but I was doing all like Marvel comic characters and all this kind of thing. And then the manga thing took over. And then I started traveling to Japan, and I just absolutely fell in love with the history of the culture and how they're kind of what's actually essentially the imagery of Japan hasn't really changed very much.
Not for thousands of years.
Over time. And even now you can see the relationship. Over there, cartoons are massively respected. You know, it's part of the high art, and I really admire that in their postmodernism as well.
We're quite judgy here, aren't we, about genre?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so indeed.
Genre judgy we are. Aren't we?
We are.
We are.
It's true.
And I, you know, in time, I began to kind of really want to imbue my art with that. And I think that started because I'm very kind of postmodern in the way I work, and there was a lot of copying, and I was massively into artists like Rauschenberg and Jasper Johns who were using secondhand information. That's what I was doing. But then after a time, I just wanted to have my own thing. And I was just very drawn to the flowers. I couldn't even tell you why.
Yeah.
At the time, but I had this massive block where I was like, why am I painting flowers? This is awful. This is so chocolate boxy and naff and unmasculine and all this stuff. And yet here I am drawing flowers once again. I couldn't tell you why. I was incorporating them into the compositions. But then eventually the compositions fell away, and I was just left with these flowers. And I just fell in love with that. That was about 10 years ago, and they've been flowing in and out. But obviously we've been doing lots of other things.
So now tell us a little bit about graphic rewilding now. Like, what sort of projects do you do, and what's the sort of thinking behind it?
Well, there came a point about 3 years ago where we had a project, which was a curatorial project. Catherine was like, we're commissioning all these artists, and you've got your flowers there. Why don't we put them into the desk?
Yeah, it was so obvious. It was so obvious.
Sometimes it's not until...
No, it isn't, because it felt like, even though I love working big, it felt quite intimate. But I did it. I literally just kind of photoshopped the massive in environments. And the person, I think it was in Bristol, wasn't it? We showed them something, and they went, "Oh my God, these are amazing. Who did these?" Blah, blah, blah. So we're like, hang on, maybe we're onto something here. And then I just started photoshopping stuff into, to try and see it big. Started learning 3D software to try and blow these things up massive and try and like see them as public art, which we've been doing anyway. And then once again,
but you didn't realise that you were doing that as a kind of precursor to this. Yeah.
And once again, you know, fair play to Catherine. It was her idea. You know, I'd only ever thought to kind of work at a certain scale with this stuff. You know. Yeah.
Fair play to me.
Fair play to you, Catherine.
Fair play to Catherine. She has, as Catherine says, she has like one good idea every couple of years.
Yeah, I have a cracker of an idea every 2 years. It's brilliant.
Keep going.
Yeah, thank you. And so we were proposing these to our clients, the flowers, and they were going down really well. And so we just decided, there was a point, as we said, about 3 years ago, where Lee stopped. We both kind of packed up our businesses. We completely packed them in. Lee stopped composing. I had a production company. Both of us really successful, working on really great projects. And we were like, no, we want to do this. We're going to make a go of it. So now this is our primary practice.
Yeah.
And 3 years in, we've taken over the world.
You're doing really well.
London.
You're rewilding the world.
We are graphic rewilding
That's
the
what
world.
you're doing.
Trying to. I think that was the aim. I think everything we've done with Skip, everything we've done up to now has been about urban environments.
Yeah.
It's been about I mean, it's ironic that we're inside a gallery saying this, but it's been about taking art to the outside world, showing people that wouldn't normally, those hallowed grounds of the Tate and all those kind of things, they wouldn't walk through those doors.
Well, no, you've done it on the steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we just wanted it so that people would just walk past our work, and the flowers, again, if you'd seen some of the projects that we've done, they've often been taking over really like dilapidated areas.
Huge spaces as
and
well.
big spaces.
Really big spaces.
Yeah.
And I think it really works on that scale, doesn't it?
Yeah. And we started realizing anecdotally people were really uplifted by them. It was amazing to hear. And I was really uplifted by them. We both were. And I think one of the reasons why I really was drawn to the flowers, inexplicably drawn, but now I realize in hindsight, was that about 10 years ago, I was having a really hard time mentally. I couldn't get out of bed. I was really struggling. I think some people would say it's a midlife moment. I don't know what it was, but I was definitely having a bit of a breakdown. And the only thing that would make me feel better was drawing the flowers. And I was going into the woods, weirdly, and this is the Japanese thing again, but I was gold leafing dead trees.
Okay.
So I was finding logs, big old logs, and I was just spending a day gold leafing them and then photographing them
and then
just leaving them for people to find.
Incredible. They were beautiful.
Yeah, they were good.
Where are they now?
Oh, they're just there, but probably
they're in people's gardens.
Yeah.
Incredible.
But I was also
How are you now?
I'm absolutely Brillo pads now. Yeah, absolutely fine now. But
how incredible that you found something that would make you feel better like that outdoors.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think in hindsight, what I started realizing was several things about myself and how that made me feel, but also how does that make other people feel?
Yeah.
How good would this be, at this scale? So
on a large public scale. Yeah.
And retrospectively, or I started examining the why.
Yeah.
So I started doing loads of reading around neuroaesthetics and neuroscience and why people respond not just to nature itself. Because just to say, I don't go for many walks in nature. I'm not a massive nature fan, to be honest. What I love doing is looking at through the lens of other artists at nature. That's what makes me feel good. It comes back to the living in Laura Ashley, land. Jesus. And so I started...
Don't fall down the stairs. That's a bad joke. Take that out.
I just started studying.
She did.
Oh,
she did.
She
fell downstairs and died.
Eek.
Anyway.
I didn't know that.
Let's move on.
When was that?
Not that long ago.
I can't remember.
Maybe 20 years.
Longer.
Rich, you think?
Really? Yeah, and so I just really started drilling down into the why. And the why is fascinating because no one knows why.
No.
When you do anything, when you read about anything to do with neuroscience and the brain, it's all speculation. But the speculation is a lot of what you'd expect is that the reason why people love flowers is because flowers are fitness indicators.
Yeah.
They tell you,
and they're indicators of different seasons, different times, different places. Yeah.
And you only have to go back, and also about landscape and why and health, and but but why we appreciate certain types of landscape that we're standing in. How way back when Neolithic human beings used to need to be able to see in the distance. They needed trees to protect them from the sun, to be able to climb up them in case a predator comes along. They needed to see flowers, which would tell them there's the next season, that soon there's going to be fruit. All these things. And the Victorians,
they're life indicators, basically.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
Yeah.
But the Victorians really tapped into it with park design, unwittingly. So that's why parks, like some of the famous parks, now have all that kind of distant views, but also have a bit of mystery. What's around the corner, and all this kind of stuff that feeds into that. So I really started drilling down into all that stuff.
So what's next for graphic rewilding?
We are doing, so we've got something coming up in London. We're taking over a whole area and also creating a mini golf course, a graphic rewilding mini golf course.
Oh my God, I love the sound of that.
Which is amazing. It's huge daisies.
Yeah.
And so, we're working on that at the moment, meeting with fabricators, and that launches in July, and I think that will go through until September.
Tiger Lily Woods.
Tiger Lily Woods.
Oh, very good. Very
It's
good.
really good. So I think that will kind of feature as part of London Design Festival
Amazing.
as well. And then we've got a couple of projects abroad. We're doing something in Shanghai in October, which we're really overexcited about. So we're heading over there, and then potentially something in Rodeo Drive, which will be
Beautiful. So graphic
Yeah,
rewilding is going global.
Yes.
It's going global. But in the meantime, obviously, we've got the show here, which
Yes.
is absolutely fantastic. It's
Yeah.
so lovely to meet up with the guys at Helm and
Yeah.
for them to give us an opportunity to because obviously the public art is brilliant. It's wonderful, but it's rooted in the paintings, rooted
Yeah.
in the drawings and the paintings. So to have the opportunity not just to show the work, but to go big with the paintings.
and actually to show the hand paintedness
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
So a lot
Yes.
of people, they'll witness our work, but they won't realise that behind it is hours and
Actually a
hours of
painting.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So this is our inaugural show, and it's blown our minds.
Yeah, I think the everyone here, Eden and India and Will and everyone, they've been instrumental in putting the whole thing together. So and it's also really nice. We've never shown anything in Brighton.
And this is your hometown.
Yeah. Skip
His
Gallery,
hometown.
my hometown. Don't
Not
never
mine.
say that to Catherine.
Not my
Oh my
home.
goodness.
Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you very much. Pleased to be here.
Come again.
Yeah.
I say it's my hometown. I've been here longer than anyone. I've been here, since
Same.
the early
Same.
90s.
We're
so-
still not accepted.
No.
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 Everyone's
No, no, no,
accepted,
no.
Joe.
Obviously.
In a way.
In a kind of. So it's nice that nice to have waited and done something wonderful like this.
Well, thank you for bringing this bit of sunshine to our dull spring.
What a dull spring.
It has
I know.
Freezing
I
spring.
think I'll just stay down here.
Exactly.
Keep me chirpy.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.